Our speaker tonight, after dinner, Jonathan Turley, is professor of law at Georgetown University and one of the nation's most prominent public commentators on legal events. He has worked under contract as a legal analyst for NBC News and CBS News, and is a frequent guest on such programs as Meet the Press, ABC This Week, Face the Nation, and Fox Sunday. Jonathan received his bachelor's degree from the University of Chicago and his law degree from Northwestern. He is actually one of the people that we Google every morning looking for an article by Jonathan Turley, and when we hit, both Bart and I say, hey, we got a Turley article. And almost always we link to him in our daily FFF email update. Jonathan has testified several times before Congress, and his hundreds of articles have appeared in such publications as the New York Times, the Washington Post, USA Today, and the Wall Street Journal. He is also on the board of contributors to USA Today. And the title of Jonathan's talk this evening is The Rapid Decline of Transparency and Privacy in America. Please welcome Jonathan Turley.
Thank you very much. This is the Snyder-Brown wedding, right? Oh, no, that's right. This is about the future of freedom. That's a different... I can say that because my wife's not here. Actually, it's nice to be in a place where we talk about freedom in the future sense. In Washington, it's almost always past tense. As someone who teaches constitutional law, it's actually, George Bush has been a great gift because, the way he's going, I can actually teach the course out of a pamphlet because there's just not a lot left there. But I'm here to talk to you about something that's dear to my heart, and that is privacy. I'm a bit of a privacy nut. That's no that's no secret. I've got a streak of libertarianism in me a mile long, and privacy is the one thing that a free nation can't do without. But we may soon find out, because privacy is one of those precious things that once you lose them as a nation, history has shown you rarely get it back. It's perhaps the most vulnerable value in the Constitution. It's not mentioned. Some of us believe that it's there clearly in the penumbra and the meaning of the Constitution. There are many who say that it simply is not, that it is a modern creation. But if searches and seizures are in the Constitution, they must be protecting something. It's not just about letters and homes. It's about something that defines us, and that thing is privacy. Now, the weird thing about privacy is that it's cherished by all citizens so deeply, but it is so easily and freely given away. When I speak at colleges and universities, I always make the same offer to the students. I offer first to buy their free speech rights for $100,000. And I ask them, now, I want you to think, seriously, I'll give you $100,000 for your right of free speech. Would you sell it to me? And usually the students are honest enough that majority of them willingly would sell for $100,000. And the reason is because they don't really see what they get from free speech, but they know what they would get with $100,000. But you see, what I just did was an old trick. I gave them something concrete, $100,000, and I put it up against an abstraction, free speech. When's the last time someone said, oh, I had a great free speech day? Whoa! And tomorrow's going to be even a better free speech day. But you sure the heck talk a lot about money, and you sure the heck know a lot about $100,000. In fact, one of the things I've learned from speaking at colleges and universities is not to make the number too big. If I make the number big, they actually waffle, because the number itself becomes an abstraction. But if I make it small, they sell to me like that. Now, then I ask them, how much would you sell your privacy for? And that is more difficult. I usually have to go up to 200. But they do require me to go up, because privacy is something that they can sort of figure they need. They start to think of the stuff they don't want other people to see. But once again, when I can give them $200,000, that seals the deal. It becomes just a forest of hands as everyone trying to sell me their privacy soon enough. I tell them at the end, I just don't have the money. Now, the question then is, why? Why is it that privacy is so valuable, but given away so easily? Louis Brandeis said that the most important right was the right to be left alone. It's one of the greatest civil libertarians in history. He was right. Ultimately, none of your rights mean anything unless you have the right to be left alone. There's something about privacy. Now, the other interesting thing I think about privacy is that everyone understands privacy on some level. Privacy is actually the first right that people understand. I'm the father of 4. I've got 4 kids, 10 and younger. It's enough to fake your death in a boating accident. But the amazing thing for me has been to watch them develop their sense of legal rights. The first right of all 4 kids was privacy, usually around that time of potty training, when all of a sudden privacy becomes enormously important, so important that you'll shut the family down. Okay? And then there's actually a very clear step of rights that you can follow. After privacy, there's cruel and unusual punishment. That they know instinctively what's cruel and unusual, when you go too far. And then they get this idea of parental takings, and they develop that idea. And then due process, substantive and procedural, And then in their teenage years, they get into free speech and, God help us, free association. And so, I got to tell you, I have become like the John Ashcroft of fathers. I mean, I now engage in warrantless surveillance and searches and seizures on an arbitrary level, punishment, cruel and unusual. It works for me. So you got this right that's like the first that we appreciate, and yet it's the first we give away. There's this disconnect. And then 9/11 came around. We are already losing ground in privacy, but nothing compared to that. If you go to Congress, I think I work in privacy. I've probably testified 2 dozen, 3 dozen times at Congress, and I'd be willing to bet that I've mentioned privacy in every single one of them. And whenever you do, whoever's in that hearing, they just coo, because privacy is good. It's one of the good things. And then they proceed to eviscerate it. And when 9/11 happened, privacy was the great victim. We couldn't wait to give up our privacy and our rights. I testified at the first hearing after the 9/11 attacks. This was before the Patriot Act happened. And it was on the national identification card. And I testified against it. And it wasn't too hard. But I remember just being shocked how many members said, we just have to do something. And this is easy. I remember some dolt who was testifying with me, I can't remember his name, but he was from New York, so I remember it. He pulled out of his pockets, and after I had spoken, he said, look at all the IDs I have. What's the problem with having one more? And I looked at this victim of inbreeding, and I thought, the 9/11 hijackers had pockets filled with IDs. They were sleepers, most of them, so they would get this ID. But sure enough, members desperately thought, this is a way to show that we're fixing the problem. And the problem always seems to be our Constitution and our rights.